The average American millionaire drives a car that's over 4 years old. Meanwhile, the guy in the brand new BMW at the stoplight, there's a decent chance he's got more debt than savings. That disconnect messed with my head for a long time. I grew up thinking wealth looked a certain way. Nice car, big house, designer clothes. Turns out, I was confusing two completely different things: being rich and looking rich. And honestly, once I understood the difference, it changed how I thought about money forever. Let's start with a question that sounds obvious, but isn't. What does it actually mean to be wealthy? Most of us would say it means having a lot of money. But here's where it gets tricky. Having money and spending money are opposites. Every dollar you spend is a dollar you no longer have. So the more someone spends on looking wealthy, the less actual wealth they're building. Think about it like a bathtub. Money flows in from the faucet. That's your income. Money flows out through the drain. That's your spending. Wealth is whatever stays in the tub. You can have a massive faucet, a huge income, but if your drain is wide open, you'll never fill that tub. Here's a real example. Let's say two people both earn $120,000 a year. Person A drives a 10-year-old Honda Accord, lives in a modest house, and maxes out their retirement accounts. Person B leases a new Mercedes, bought the biggest house the bank would approve, and has a closet full of expensive clothes. From the outside, Person B looks way more successful, but run the numbers forward 15 years. Person A has built up serious wealth, maybe $700,000 or more in investments. Person B has a nicer Instagram feed, but not much else. They've been spending their wealth instead of building it. This isn't a made-up scenario. Researchers have actually studied this. There's a famous book from the 1990s called The Millionaire Next Door. The authors spent years interviewing people with a net worth of $1 million or more, and what they found surprised everyone. Most millionaires weren't living in mansions. They weren't driving luxury cars. They were living in middle-class neighborhoods, buying their clothes at regular stores, and driving vehicles that were years old. The flashy spenders? They were usually high-income people who looked rich but had almost nothing saved. The authors came up with two terms that stuck with me. They called the wealth builders prodigious accumulators of wealth. And the flashy spenders? Under-accumulators of wealth. Same income, completely different outcomes, all based on what they chose to do with their money. Now, I want to be careful here. This isn't about shaming anyone for buying nice things. If you genuinely love cars and a nice vehicle brings you real joy, that's a valid choice. The point isn't that spending money is bad. The point is that spending money on things designed to impress other people is usually a losing game. Here's why. The people you're trying to impress? They're not actually thinking about you. I know that sounds harsh, but stay with me. When you see someone in an expensive car, how much time do you spend thinking about how successful that person must be? Maybe 2 seconds? Then you go back to thinking about your own life. That's what everyone else does too. We buy things to project an image, but nobody's really paying attention to the image. We're all too busy worrying about our own stuff. There's actually a name for this. Psychologists call it the spotlight effect. We think everyone's watching us way more than they actually are, so we spend money on things that signal success, but the signal isn't reaching anyone. It's like shouting into an empty room. Meanwhile, that money could have been doing something way more useful. Let's look at what driving an older car could actually mean for your finances. Say you're deciding between leasing a new car for $550 a month or buying a reliable used car for $12,000 total. If you choose the used car and invest the difference, here's what happens. That $550 a month, invested in a basic index fund earning around 8% average returns, grows to over $100,000 in 10 years. In 20 years, it's closer to $320,000. And in 30 years, you're looking at over $800,000, all from driving a less flashy car. Now, I'm not saying everyone should drive a beat-up old clunker, but understanding this trade-off is powerful. Every time you choose to spend less on something that's mostly about appearances, you're giving your future self options. Options to retire earlier, work less, handle emergencies, or just have peace of mind. There's another angle to this that doesn't get talked about enough. Lifestyle inflation. When your income goes up, your spending tends to go up with it. Get a raise? Upgrade the car? Get a bigger raise? Upgrade the house. This feels natural, almost automatic, but it's a trap that keeps a lot of high earners stuck. I've met people earning $300,000 a year who live paycheck to paycheck. That sounds impossible, but it happens all the time. They've inflated their lifestyle to match their income. Bigger mortgage, private schools, luxury vacations, fancy cars. Their expenses grew right alongside their paychecks, so they never actually get ahead. Meanwhile, someone earning $80,000 who keeps their expenses at $60,000 is building real wealth every single year. They've got breathing room. They've got options. They're not stressed about money even though they earn less. This is what wealthy people figure out, often early on. Your wealth isn't determined by what you earn. It's determined by the gap between what you earn and what you spend. Widening that gap is the whole game. So why do so many of us get this wrong? Why do we chase the appearance of wealth instead of actual wealth? Part of it is just how we're wired. Humans are social creatures. We naturally compare ourselves to others and want to signal our status. For most of human history, this made sense. Displaying resources meant attracting better mates and gaining influence in your community. But modern marketing has hijacked this instinct. We're surrounded by messages telling us that buying certain products will make us happy, successful, and admired. Car commercials don't sell transportation. They sell an image of who you could be. The sophisticated executive, the adventurous free spirit, the successful family man. It takes real effort to push back against this, to remember that the car is just metal and plastic that gets you from one place to another. The house is just walls and a roof. The clothes are just fabric. These things don't make you more valuable as a person. Here's something that helped me reframe this. Instead of thinking about what I want to own, I started thinking about what I want my money to do for me. Do I want my money to sit in my driveway, slowly losing value? Or do I want it working in the background, growing and compounding, buying me freedom and security? When I put it that way, the choice got a lot easier. Let me share one more thing that might flip your perspective. Think about the wealthiest people you know personally. Not celebrities or influencers, but people in your actual life. Your uncle who retired at 55, your neighbor who doesn't seem stressed about money, your friend's parents who paid for all 3 kids' college. How do they live? I'm willing to bet they're not the flashiest people you know. They probably drive reasonable cars, live in reasonable houses, and don't talk about money much. That's not a coincidence. Real wealth tends to be quiet. It's not performing for anyone. It's just there, providing security and options. So what do you do with all this? First, just notice the difference between rich and wealthy. Rich is about income. Wealthy is about what you keep. Start thinking about building wealth, not just earning more money. Second, get curious about your own spending. Not judgmental, just curious. How much of what you buy is for you, and how much is for an audience that isn't really paying attention? Third, try this mental exercise. Before a big purchase, ask yourself, would I still want this if nobody else could ever see it? If the answer is yes, go for it. If the answer is no, maybe reconsider. And finally, remember that the goal isn't to deprive yourself. It's to spend intentionally on things that actually matter to you and to invest in your future freedom. The millionaire driving the old car isn't being cheap. They just figured out something important. Looking wealthy and being wealthy are different games, and they chose to play the one that actually matters. If this video helped you see money a little differently, hit subscribe to Like Your 5. We break down financial concepts every week. No jargon, no judgment, just clarity. See you in the next one.